Hey guys, what's up? ShaneWolf38 here. Today I have something pretty cool for map makers or minigame makers, and that is an infinite in Minecraft, kind of, I don't really know what you call it, but it's a series of numbers and they'll just basically add up. A counter is a simple word for it, but that wasn't really what I was thinking of. So, here it is. This is it. This is the entire thing. No, I'm just kidding. It's not the entire thing, because that would be a waste of all these command blocks. Basically, you can add on to it however much you want. So, I'm just going to set my spawn score to 3, or let's actually do 2, and it should add 2 more decimal places. Well, they're not really decimal places, they're 2 more places. There we go. We now have 2 more places, and as you can see, this is counting up. And this is going to count 1/10 of a second, and then these are going to count seconds. So as you can see, this one counts every 10 seconds, this one counts seconds, and then this one counts every 10th of a second. So it's just going to keep on going up. Very good. And it's just going to basically keep on doing that. Nothing more really, but it's very easy to expand. We can just do this again. And now we have 2 more decimal places, or not decimal places, I don't even know what to call them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to the final one. I'm going to set it to 9, so when this updates, it should update the next one. Let's watch. Alright, cool. I'm going to set both of these to 9 now. Then when they update, they should go and change that 0 at the end to a 1. Very cool. So let's actually add 8 more places. There we go. That's a lot of places. How many numbers is this? Or how big of a number is this? That's basically 100 billion. Yeah, 100 billion. So pretty cool. I didn't count this one at the end because it's not really. I'm not gonna count it. So yeah, this last decimal, or not decimal place, but this last place is going to be representing 1 billion seconds. So let's actually set this to, no, I don't want to do that. I want to set this back to 0. What I want to do is I want to set this to 9. I'm going to set all of these to 9. And see, set this to 9 too. And we're gonna set this to, let's do 9. We're at 8 actually. Okay, so when this updates, it should update all of them. This is gonna be kind of cool. It's gonna be fast. There we go, and all of them update, and then it sends this one to 1. So yeah, very cool in my opinion. You know, you can just keep on expanding this really. If I were to do spawn, I don't know. I don't want to enter a number too big. Let's go 20. We are just going to expand the number all the way out here, and that is a huge number. So I don't even want to count that basically. Yep. So what's going on? Basically, right over here, what we have is just 9 numbers that I built so I could use a clone command, which is what those numbers are. Now what's going to happen is there's going to be a fill clock. I have 3 objectives. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. Oh, 4 objectives, sorry. I have number, timer, spawn, and transfer. So I'm not going to focus on these first 2 yet because we're going to get into that just a bit later. So the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to add at every armor stand named M timer, and there's only one of those. It's at the start. M stands for main, so main timer. It's going to add a timer score of 1. What it's then going to do is add at every M timer with a score of timer 2 number 1. Then basically it's going to execute at everybody with a number score of minimum 11. It's going to execute -4 in the X direction, which is at the next number, and it's going to set that armor stand, whose name is timer, in a radius of 0, I did not mean to have that set to 1, to a transfer score of 1. So as you can see, basically, when this gets to 9, or this gets to 9, it's going to set this one, or it's actually going to add 1 to that one. It's basically what happens. So when it's going to set it to a transfer score of 1, and then it will set every armor stand with a number score of minimum 11 to number 1. And then it's going to execute everybody with every armor stand, sorry about that, with a number score of 1, and just clone the number 1, and that happens for the next 10 command blocks up until number 10. Then it's going to reset every armor stand who has a timer score of minimum 2. It's going to reset their timer. And we're not going to get into this yet because this is for the spawning of the new ones. We're going to go back to here. So basically, when it sets them to a transfer score of 1, it's going to go through the loop, and then it's going to come back. What it's going to do then is add a number score of 1 to everyone with a transfer score of 1, and then just reset the transfer score of anyone who has, transfer score of minimum 1. So that's basically how the transferring works. I think that's pretty cool. It's very simple, and it looks really nice in my opinion. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Beautiful, beautiful. And let's go back over here. Where is it? So yeah, this is basically the main command that's actually going to set the transfer score to 1 for all of those guys. So yeah, basically, just to explain, just to wrap it up, basically this is going to get a transfer score of 1 when this turns to the final one, and then in the next tick it's going to basically be changed into the next number, and if it's a 9, if it goes up and it becomes a 10, it will then transfer again, and so on and so forth. Sorry if that wasn't the best explanation. So what happens next is everyone who has a spawn score of minimum 1 executes to every armor stand with a spawn score of 0, and they will summon an armor stand -4 in the X direction, whose name is timer and a bunch of data. It will then execute at that armor stand with a spawn score of 0 after someone has a spawn score of 1, and set the timers they just spawned to a spawn score of -1. It will then set it to a number score of 1. Then it will add every armor stand whose spawn score is 0, if there is someone with a spawn score of 1. So executes it down, and then it will add to everyone with a spawn score of maximum 0, spawn 1. So the previous one that had spawn 0 gets set to 1, and the one that has -1 now gets set to 0. Then it will just remove spawn 1 from everybody who has a spawn score of minimum 1. It will then just reset the spawn score of anyone who has a spawn score equal to or lower than 0. So yeah, very cool, and that cycle will just repeat. Note that at the start I had set this one to a spawn score of 0, so that when I started it, it would, just work like that. Very simple, not too hard at all. And yeah, that's about it. I think this is pretty cool. It works really well, and you could just use this for, any map really that needed a timer. Well, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.